All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wizarding Wars, a new Harry Potter trading card game, local FNM style event that we are hosting here in the Revival Discord, hosted by the Dark Mark. I am John Schreiner, and I'm happy to bring this tournament to you guys. Let's go ahead and see who we've got playing tonight. We've got 6 players joining us for our inaugural event, as it were. It looks like we have got Stefan, Wamin, Andrew, Pat, Morrell, and Nicola all here to play. It's going to be a good time. Let's go ahead and jump into one of the rounds and see what the players are playing. I'm excited because we haven't really gotten to see any revival gameplay because of the coronavirus. These games have been hard to play with each other without using, online or different types of things like that. They're hard to do, sometimes a little bit of a pain in the butt to set up. Okay, so it looks like on top we have got a McGonagall creature deck that is also using Transfiguration. And on the bottom again, McGonagall also the starting witch here, and this is Splashing Charms. McGonagall is a very, very powerful starting witch because she gives you the ability to solve adventures without paying any kind of hefty price, which is usually difficult to do, especially for specific adventures like Caught by Snape that can really, really be annoying for players to deal with. McGonagall kind of gives you that safety net. You could use it once per game. Then also she provides that Transfiguration lesson, and Transfiguration lesson kind of lets you build your deck without putting any of those lesson cards in it, but still gives you access to all of those spells. Transfiguration is a high utility type that has a lot of powerful spells. As we see, Raven the Writing Desk here is a spell that's going to let Axe Hurdle search his deck for up to 2 monsters and put them in his hand. It looks like Axe Hurdle is running a Spiders deck, so this is kind of exciting. We see the baby Acromantulas here. Oh, I just realized I don't have the player names on. Let me go ahead and edit this. Sorry, guys. We've got the training wheels on this week. This is the first time we're actually running these events. Let me go ahead and get the names up. There we go. Now I know who's who. Alright, so Andrew is playing a Spider deck tonight. This is really neat. This is one of the new cards from the Revival set, Heir of Slytherin. Baby Acromantula is when you play this card, search your deck. You may take a Baby Acromantula from your deck, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. Awesome card because replacement effects are always strong. You want to be able to keep a lot of action in your hand, and you don't ever want to use an action to draw a card. I mean, it's a nice safety net that you're offered in the Harry Potter trading card game, but it's probably the least value you're going to get out of an action is just using it to draw a card, because it means that you don't really have a play and you're kind of looking for that next play more often than not. And we do see 2 copies of Magical Me out here. Magical Me is an item that is new to the Heir of Slytherin set as well, which is during your turn you may discard this card from play, and if you do, you can choose a non-healing spell with a printed power of cost 2 or less in your discard pile and play it as if it were in your hand. You do still have to use an action to play the card, but it doesn't cost you an action to discard Magical Me, so that's kind of neat that it lets you reuse a card from your discard pile. Discard pile as an extension of your hand gives you a lot more choices than you would normally have, and you don't even have to worry about having drawn or getting rid of cards that you've drawn. So that does put us up to 5 total lessons here, so it's going to start getting a little scary for Morrell. He's going to be able to drop some of those stronger spells, especially between Charms and Transfiguration. going to start to be able to deal enough damage to these spiders, which you really want to do before Aragog comes out, because she's going to go ahead and pump how much health all the spiders have. And Through the Arch is the adventure that we're going to put out here. Andrew is playing this to try and stop Morrell from using too many actions and prevents him from playing those spell cards that he would use to answer the creatures. That's when it's really nice to have characters in your deck that have some abilities to help get you out of these situations. McGonagall is one of those awesome characters that can get him out of this situation, but using McGonagall on Through the Arch is going to tap that McGonagall out for the rest of the game, meaning that he is going to be susceptible to the follow-up adventure. And of course, when you are playing against McGonagall deck, you do always want to try and get them to use McGonagall to break out of your second best adventure, or to have some kind of a backup plan. And it looks like that's going to be what happens here, as we see McGonagall tapped, kind of the universal sign, as it were, for I use this to break out. And I do see that McGonagall is tapped on Andrew's side as well, so I wonder what character, or sorry, what adventure he broke out of with that. But Creatures is going to just start slowly chipping away here, as we're got a 4-card advantage already, and we're just going to see that disparity grow as these creatures just keep swinging. So it is going to be a sickle coming down, as we have... Do we have enough for that? Oh, there's 4 charms here. Sorry, I only saw 3 of them because of the way they're layering. So yes, we have 4 charms, 2 magical Miis, and McGonagall. That's going to be 7. Looks like we are going to get that sickle and put it into play, then pass. And Andrew's turn, he's just going to play another Through the Arch. So now it's going to go back to Morrell's turn. And the cool thing here is he's actually going to skip all 4 of those actions, because he had extra actions because of the sickle. So he's going to say, yeah, go ahead, whatever. I'll just sack all those. And he does get the reward. Really, really crazy to solve Through the Arch in 1 turn. Sickle's pretty much one of the only ways you can do it. But he's going to go ahead and put an item card from the discard pile into his hand. He doesn't hate doing that. It looks like it's going to be Philosopher's Stone. Philosopher's Stone is a really, really interesting card. It's kind of nuts that we're seeing it see some play here. It's a 15-cost card, which is a little bit absurd, but Wand Shop that we see in the discard pile there can really help you get there by doubling all of your charm sources. But Philosopher's Stone lets you use 2 actions, and you discard it to put all lessons in your discard pile into play, and then you basically just shuffle your whole discard pile back into the deck, except for healing cards. And it's like, you ramp all the way up, and it kind of resets the game. The one thing that's weird about that is, like, you're already at 15, so how much more, how many more lessons could you possibly need? But it is a 15-cost item, and there are items and different ways in the game that, based on the cost of something, you can deal damage, and 15 is a hefty amount of damage to deal to your opponent. You're really not going to find that anywhere other than a Venomous Tentacular Juice or Grip Hook. And it is going to be Dobby's Disappearance. This is a very, very powerful card. Some say the best card in the game, because Dobby gives you that action back and allows you to return any permanent in play back to its owner's hand. There aren't that many powerful enter the battlefield effects in Harry Potter. Normally a bounce effect is less strong in games like Magic or Final Fantasy. But here, Dobby's is pretty powerful because there are very few characters who you're returning to their hand who they're going to get benefit off playing again. And it is going to walk them back in action. And Dobby's Disappearance, the craziest thing about it is it gives your action back. So it's kind of, just totally free, besides the fact that it's the card from hand. Allows you to really get into a high number of actions per turn. And one of my favorite things about some of the cards from the Revival set is there's cards that now give you a benefit for using a lot of actions in a turn. Picking on Neville is what we jokingly call the poor man's Dobby around my part. So we've got Picking on Neville here. He's going to go ahead and choose something in play and say you can either discard that thing or discard 2 other permanents. It's probably going to go ahead and get rid of 1 of the magical Miis. I doubt that we would sack 2 lessons to keep 1 of the books. But basically what we're trying to do here, Andrew is trying to just remove cards in play so that his spiders can chip away, and he can eventually win on damage here. He's going to play a Cage with his second action, so he used Dobby, got that action back, then Picking on Neville, then going to get the Cage. Oh no, now we're Giant Tarantulaing. This isn't a different turn, is it? How would we have gotten that extra action there? It's a little difficult for me to follow. Go back through chat on this. Oh no, he drew. He played Davies' appearance. He played Picking on Neville. Thank you. And I think we might have actually used an extra action there, but I'm not 100% sure. Got to keep a close eye on that kind of thing. I was just getting told my dinner was here as all that was happening, so I can't say with certainty. Nah, it looks like we've got an extra lesson here and then a sickle down. Just trying to really take advantage of these big 4+ action turns. Picking on Neville coming down, going to get rid of that sickle. Sorry, these guys aren't passing the turn to each other, so it's making it difficult for me to always tell when it's somebody's turn starting. Sorry. Usually you can do it by counting actions, but things like Davies make it a little tricky. So it looks like we are going to get rid of a Magical Me and a Charms to keep the sickle in play, and the real dirty thing here would just be a follow-up Picking on Neville or something to get rid of the sickle. But no, it's not. It looks like that's it for our turn there. We are going to pass. The sickle is going to pop, so Morrell is going to go up to 4 actions. 4 actions and 6 cards in hand. Could be a lot going on there. Also, we could, of course, use Magical Me to get an item from our discard pile and play it instead. But we need to start doing something proactive here. We've been gaining a lot of extra actions. We've been solving some of these things. But we need to, we got to be dealing some damage. We got to get some equity here on the board. We really got to get the board position back. These poor little 1 damage spiders have really been putting in a lot of work. And you can see that it's now 41 to 27 cards in deck. And we've got 3 actions put into skipping the total of 4 for Through the Arch here, trying to make it so that we can play spell cards again because it has kind of been keeping us locked down. It looks like we have a Raven of Writing Desk of our own, so there are creatures in this deck. We're just having a hard time getting to them. Would have been nice if we could have played that spell card to go ahead and take a look, but instead our opponent is kind of keeping us under their thumb here, making sure that we play an honest game and get through this Through the Arch. And remember, like we said earlier, using McGonagall on that earlier one opened him up to now a more critical Through the Arch that he can't use McGonagall to solve. And we're ending up having to skip 4 actions, honestly, anyway, which we would have been in a little bit of a better position if we had done earlier and saved the McGonagall, but it's really tricky, right? Because it always feels like this boot on your throat, like you just can't do anything while that card's out, so you want to get rid of it right away, and that's where the power in a lot of these adventures, like Through the Arch or in Classic Caught by Snape, come from. It looks like we are going to go and get Philosopher's Stone back because of our Through the Arch solve. So we skip that action, we get back Philosopher's Stone, and now we are going to use Alohomora. And Alohomora lets us go and search for a location, so it's a 4-drop charm spell. Let's just go ahead and search our deck for a location. And it gets us Wand Shop. So Wand Shop is going to come out here. And Andrew could just double tap these cards to turn them sideways, but that's okay. Oh, and there it is. The third baby Acromantula. And what's interesting to me here is this potion splash. Oh my goodness, do we have both of them? Well, I mean, yeah. Oh, sorry. When you play this one, you get to search another one. Oh, and Forest Spider coming down finally. Oh my goodness, this is very exciting. I haven't gotten to see Forest Spider play yet. This is again another one of the new revival creatures. Forest Spider is one less power to play for each spider in play. So we reduced this to a 5-cost 3/3, and that's a pretty good rate for a 3/3 in this game at least. We did get there with that potion, cage, 2 lessons, and of course our starting character providing that lesson. Riding the Centaur coming in here. Gonna just do one of these to quickly change the edit. There we go. Get that card to look right. Riding the Centaur, gonna be a nice stall tactic here since McGonagall is. I want to say McGonagall's already used, but then again, all of Andrew's cards have the same orientation, so he might not have used the McGonagall yet. Yeah, it actually looks like he's going to use McGonagall to clear it right now, as he just put it and then got rid of it. Yeah, and he put the counter on her. Okay, okay. Hey, as long as you indicate it in some way. So yeah, Riding the Centaur came into play, and Riding the Centaur prevents all these guys from actually dealing damage. So then we skip all that from the Forest Spider, from the Giant Tarantula. This is going to be 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage that we really can't afford to take. We take 2 of those, we lose. So Riding the Centaur was hopefully going to buy us a few more turns, but it did trick the McGonagall into getting used. Hopefully we have a follow-up Riding the Centaur or something similar. Oh my goodness, but it's going to be Bundium Ooze. Your opponent chooses one of their creatures or item cards in play and discards it, and then they take damage equal to its printed power cost. There is only one item, so it's going to have to be Magical Me. We're going to be taking 3 damage from that. Chipping away here, as I think that Morrell, unfortunately, was always playing from a little bit behind. Didn't really hit those cards, those creatures that he needed to contest the board. And I think things could go a lot differently, and Morrell's able to get a little bit quicker out the gate, get that wand shop down, and really start using those crazy high-power spells. But between the Through the Arches and the creatures just whittling away, by the time he finally got through some of those adventures and found the time, found the resources to play some of those high-cost cards, it was a little bit too late. Board wipes, few and far between in the Harry Potter trading card game. Usually take the form of a character like Quirrell, who would reset all of the items and characters to their opponent's hand, or to their owner's hands, excuse me. But because of the low power level of Baby Acromantula and Giant Tarantula, there are plenty of Quidditch. There are plenty of charm spells that deal a little bit of damage to all forwards. And there's also Aradia Examite, which is a specific spell that they printed in the Revival set, Heir of Slytherin, that you could use to just basically destroy all the spiders on the field. They take a bunch of damage. That's an interesting card that, considering we're playing Revival, and considering Morrell is playing Charms, might be in the sideboard, and I would love to see that get sideboarded in against spiders here. I think that that would be really, really neat to see that level of counterplay. You see both the card and the counter coming out in the first round of our first Revival tournament. I would really like to see that. That'd be really neat. Looks like we're going to get rid of Magical Me to probably just tell him we're getting a card that can kill the spider. Or we're going to hit the spider with something. Let's check a look at the... Can I even look at the face down pile? I can't. It's okay. Took our 4 damage there from those creatures. So getting rid of that forest spider did buy us some time. I also think he took 1 less damage than he was supposed to. But it won't matter in the long run. Because Giant Tarantula is actually a 2 damage creature. Oh, Black Bat is going to come in with that Enter ability and just do 2 immediately. putting Morrell down to 4, and yeah, I don't think there's any way out of this for him. He's going to need something like that Philosopher Stone to come down right now, and that might just be the play. I mean, what do we have with the Wand Shop down? We're doubling all of these, so it's 2... Oh, come on, I hate doing that. Alright, so it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12... Oh, no, he's only up to 13. Not quite there. Looks like the players have agreed to play another game. Is there an opportunity here for them to sideboard? I hope there is. Judge calls. All right, so just real quick to go over. I always like to go over rulings questions when we get them. So I just answered a rulings question. It just causes a great question. The card Fouled and the card Pep Talk came up. So Fouled is a 4-cost Quidditch card that says you deal 4 damage to your opponent, and during their next turn they get 1 fewer action. Pep Talk is an adventure that says the first action your opponent uses on each of his or her turns must be used to draw a card. And the question was, how do those interact? And the answer is yes, that is a combo. Pep Talk forces your opponent to use the only action they have for that turn to draw a card, because Fouled gives them 1 less action. It doesn't tell them that they skip or first action or use their first action for anything. They only have 1. And then Pep Talk says they have to use their first action, or the first action that they use, rather, must be to draw a card. So Pep Talk is just kind of this hanging effect, waiting for you to use an action. And Fouled is just making sure they only have 1. So if you do generate extra actions, of course, to Seamus or Platform, something like that. Actually, you'd have to Seamus first, because you wouldn't be able to play Platform yet. But you would be able to, or activate an item like we're seeing in this round, the Sickle or something like that, to gain those actions. But yes, that is a combo. You would be able to lock your opponent by using Fouled and Pep Talk together. Thankfully, Fouled is a spell, so they will have to find a way to keep getting Fouls into their hand and using them. It's not just a perpetual combo, although Pep Talk can be a very annoying card. Alright, switching back into our game here, it looks like Morrell is off to the races with a double Charms turn 1 and a double Charms turn 2. And that's not a bad start. You don't hate seeing Lesson, Lesson as your 2 actions. Meanwhile, remember what we said earlier about drawing a card. Drawing a card usually the weakest thing that you can do for an action, because it means that you're missing another play. And here we see Andrew not doing what he wants here. He wants to also be racing on setting up those and getting those creatures down and just start that time. That damage over time, so he can just accrue that advantage as the game goes on. But the later we take to get the monsters out, the less effective they're going to be. We're giving Morrell all the time he needs to find plenty of answers. Finally, after a couple of turns of just using actions to draw, we did get to another lesson, and I think this is a really big kind of highlight here that you really should be playing, a certain number of lessons, but also cards like Peeves, that if you do have that bad start, he basically is like a way to freely exchange your hand for a new hand of 7 cards. Go ahead and, Peeves takes 2 actions. It feels like skipping a turn, but he doesn't take an action to use, and we just skipped 2 turns looking for another lesson to play, so. It looks like we are going to be playing Gringotts Vault Key here, because we did play the 5th lesson, then the key. The key lets us search our deck for any card, and we do not have to show our opponent what that card is. So it's going to go ahead and probably get Wand Shop, if I had to guess, because we're just trying to accelerate to high count as fast as possible. And going up to a lot of cards. What is this? 3, 6, 9, 15 cards in hand here for Andrew. Good good thing our opponent's not running around playing Grip Hook or something like that. 15 cards in your hand where I come from is a death sentence. And it looks like we just scooped and went right to game 3 with we had like no action. I guess we got a little frustrated that we weren't drawing anything. We decided we didn't even want to see how it goes. We skipped right to game 3. This game looking a little bit more like what players wanted to see. Finally, both of us getting that start we were looking for. Morrell's perfect first 2 turns are basically lesson. Meanwhile, Andrew's perfect first 2 turns are Tarantula. You know, it's like lesson, Tarantula, then adventure to force him to deal with it. So we are going to play through the arch, and immediately, through the arch is going to get solved with McGonagall. And our play this turn is to play a Riding the Centaur. And see, so that's why, right there, guys, there's just a tip. I don't think we should have used McGonagall there. Because what we've done is we've opened up the ability for Andrew to play another adventure that we can't just answer with this McGonagall. You know, he knows that McGonagall's tapped out here. And that's exactly what happened. Look, he solved Riding the Centaur. And he played... Or no, oh my goodness, he also used McGonagall. Guys, this is wild. So you use McGonagall to clear the Riding the Centaur. Now, both of these players can't use McGonagall's ability anymore. I think both of them were... If you're going to use McGonagall's ability, you have to be getting a lot out of breaking out. And we got absolutely nothing out of using McGonagall's ability to break out of the first through the arch, because we just played Riding the Centaur next turn anyway. Riding the Centaur is not a spell card. So we could have used that through the arch. So you could have just left the through the arch on the table. Andrew would have had to find another follow-up play, and you would have been in a better position. I don't think we really needed to start. You know, we still have to deal with this through the arch. Now we're skipping the actions anyway, and we're out of McGonagall. And this is a big lesson for playing against Caught by Snape, if you ever play in Revival. If you use McGonagall on like the first Caught by Snape or the first Escaping the Dursleys or something like that, you're pretty much done. McGonagall is really powerful ability, and you don't want to use it until you're basically breaking the glass in case of emergency and slamming that button. So using McGonagall early puts your opponent in a much better position, because they know that your starting character is now basically just a lesson. It's doing nothing else. That ability is gone. You built her as probably one of your only ways to protect against those adventures, so they know that you're kind of spent when it comes to answers for that type of card. Meanwhile, we could have just skipped 4 actions, right? Then our opponent would be forced to play the next through the arch that he has in his hand, and we can McGonagall out of that one. Sickle coming down here. We are going to skip enough actions to get out of that through the arch. And there's a Black Bat and a Tarantula, both coming in for 4 every turn. Now, even though this isn't that many monsters, the Black Bat did 2 when it came in. Tarantula's been here since turn 2, I think, dealing damage every turn. And this is 4 damage a turn. This is actually more than the baby Acromantulas were doing by themselves last round. And the nice thing about getting up to this lesson count now is once you draw a baby Acromantula, it's basically 4 actions worth of things to play. And you'll just start swarming those creatures onto the field. And we have our first set of results in. For round 1 in our first event, it looks like at table 2, Nicola took the win. Nicola waking up really, I mean, either waking up early or staying up late. I can't remember. I think it's got to be waking up early, right? I'm bad at my times in different countries. Oh, I'm about to sneeze. Oh, excuse me. Waking up really early. I saw posting some breakfast in chat, showing us that they're ready to play, just to get to join us to play some games here. And that's really neat. I'm glad that they could make it. So they're going to take that win 2-0. Love seeing that we went to game 3 here at table 1. Finally getting those baby Acromantulas into play. I'm riding the Centaur coming down. So I did miss it. I was going to say, we must have used some kind of removal. So this is awesome. We actually got to use Drawing the Sword. So we saw Drawing the Sword come into play here. That is, you can only play that card if you have a Gryffindor, Wizard, or Witch in play. Of course, McGonagall is a starting Gryffindor Witch. It deals 6 damage among any number of creatures. So we actually did use that to clear out both of the creatures. Really neat that we got to use that removal spell, that 6-cost Transfiguration spell. Again, a benefit of having McGonagall as our starting Witch is that we get that splash. And we did get to kill the Black Bat and the other guy, whatever spider, giant tarantula, that's it. Get them out of here. Also, I believe there was an Acromantula on the board, so now we clean some of that up, but it's okay because, like I said, the Acromantulas kind of keep replacing themselves in your hands, so you have that action, and it looks like Andrew was able to get another Black Bat down and keep the Acromantula chain going, although it looks like he used an action here to draw a card. He is going to put another Acromantula into play. And I think there's one more to search for, but that might be all of them. Getting all the spiders out. Aragog's going to be a tough sell with the amount of lessons we've been playing. Especially Aragog, I think, has some counter synergy with Giant Tarantula because you want to ramp up, but Giant Tarantula is keeping your curve low but dealing a lot of damage. Normally when I play creatures decks, I kind of top out at around 4. Except for if I'm playing a bomb top-end creature for post-caught by Snape solves, but again, that's some classic strategy. That's going to be Welsh Green Dragon is our favorite top-end bomb for creature plays. But if we did get Aragog down, it would buff all of our spiders' health, so it would make it a little bit harder for one spell, like Drawing the Sword, to take out multiple creatures of ours. One benefit to running the spider tribe here. Of course, Aragog's Lair also... actually, I believe Aragog's Lair might be the one that gives them health, and Aragog might buff their damage. We'll have to see. All right, so I popped over to asio.cards, by the way, which is where you should be checking out all the Harry Potter cards if you don't already have a great site to browse them on. Aragog is going to be the one that has the spiders dealing more damage, and Aragog's lair is the one where they have more health. We haven't seen either of the cards. I think we saw Aragog once and briefly in passing. Haven't seen the lair in any of these games. Inside the most recent Draw the Sword, it would have been too relevant. But yeah, it looks like we are going to go ahead and play Riding the Centaur again. And since we used McGonagall to solve that early Centaur, we're going to have to get rid of the creatures we have in play to solve it. Then we are going to be playing Black Bat. Another Black Bat coming down, dealing that again, that 2 intro. So we did talk about how a lot of characters don't have ETBs in Harry Potter, but Black Bat is one of the exceptions, and that's actually what pushes Black Bat into a playable slot in creatures decks, is that Black Bat, despite only having 1 health and costing 4, is dealing that 2 damage instantly when it comes in and then threatening 2 every turn after that. And then Scribble 4 is coming down for Morrell. Now, Scribble 4 is one of my favorite cards, a great follow-up to forcing the sacrifice on the Centaur adventure. Scribble 4 is going to choose 2 of the cards in play and return one of them to the opponent's hand and discard the other one. The opponent gets to make the choice, but Scribble 4 is still a very powerful card, so I believe we are going to probably put the Care Magical Creatures lesson in the discard pile and put the bat back in our hand, and our next turn is of course going to be play a lesson, play the bat, and we get that 2 damage again, getting that enter trigger. Really benefiting from the fact that Black Bat is the follow-up we had to the Riding the Centaur solve. Magical Me coming down. And Ollivanders. Ollivanders is a 1 cost that is going to go ahead and put an item card from our discard pile into our hand. Probably going to get ourselves a sickle. That's exactly what we're going to grab there. And remember, we do currently have 11 lessons because we've got the charms are each times 2, and then McGonagall providing that extra lesson. And it does look like we had our second report come in. At table 3, looks like Pat got a 2-0 against Stefan. I know Stefan said that he was bringing something a little bit crazy tonight, so I'm kind of excited to see what that is. Which means that this best of 3 here, that's gone to game 3, is going to be the end of round 1. Which is nice, means things are moving along right on schedule for our first event here. This time in the round is called in 12 more minutes at 8:15. Through the Arch coming down. So we played our Riding the Centaur, we responded with a Through the Arch, and then our response from Morrell was to skip 1 action and to play a Charms. The Charms actually brings us up to 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. We're 1 charm away from the dream, being able to play the Philosopher's Stone. Ooh, Bunmium Ooze is going to set that back a little bit. It's going to say that our opponent is going to have to choose an item or a creature in play and discard. Oh no, actually, Bunmium Ooze is going to be a dead card because there is no creature or item in play. There is only the Wand Shop, which is a location. It is not an item. So unfortunately, Bunmium Ooze is not going to have any effect. I'm not sure if we let him walk that back, or if he probably walked it back because we put the card back in our hand. That's fine. We're here for friendlies, you know, this isn't a serious tournament or anything like that. But yeah, you gotta watch out for stuff like that. Remember that location cards, Wand Shop, that's a unique type of card that is not an item. Of course, Riding the Centaur itself is an adventure. Oh me, oh my. A location has entered the field on Andrew's side of the table, but it's not Spider's Lair, it's Chamber of Secrets. Chamber of Secrets says that cards cannot be played from or leave their owner's discard piles, and that's something that we definitely see Morrell doing. I wonder if this was sided in between rounds. And of course we are going to play a Baby Acromantula here. Now again, I don't... How did we get rid of the... Oh, Bunmium Ooze got rid of the sickle. I don't know how Wand Shop got... Oh, we replaced the location, that's right. Oh my goodness, silly me. Sorry, guys. He played this location that replaced Wand Shop. That's very, very powerful play. Alright, so picking on Neville is going to come down and going to go ahead and clean up the Baby Acromantulas. And this is what we were looking for in those other games. Morrell got plenty of lessons down, but unfortunately wasn't able to play any of those spells. Wasn't able to use Picking on Nevils. Wasn't able to answer the creatures with Drawing the Sword because those Through the Arches were really locking us down. But in this game, after we solved the first two, it didn't look like Andrew had any more in hand to play, and now we're kind of getting away with being able to do some of our strategy, but it's a little bit late again. We're using that removal on him, but we don't have any proactive way here that we're winning the game. We're just removing some creatures every once in a while, and we're getting up. I mean, but what we are getting ready for is that Philosopher's Stone. I get it. That's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to just survive forever. It's a really, really neat strategy because Philosopher's Stone is a really, really cool card. It's designed very well. Unfortunately, it's hard to pull off. And Morrell keeps getting very, very, very close, right? We were one charm lesson away because Wand Shop was doubling all that. But unfortunately, the Chamber of Secrets coming down kind of ruins how close we were. We need another Wand Shop and the Stone in hand. We do have a lot of cards in hand, but we're just looking for the right pieces. And when you're getting hit by creatures all game, sometimes those pieces are inadvertently to just go into the discard pile. There's nothing you can do about it. I do think that for that reason, the cards like Hannah Abbott are really powerful, that let you access your discard pile as an extension of your hand. Gringotts Volkey here is going to search his deck of 5 cards for something he needs, but we'd way rather be going through our discard pile here. You'd like to see Reparo maybe be in the deck. Maybe it is. Maybe we just haven't seen it, to try and access that discard pile for later on here. I get that we're trying to put all of our cards back in our deck, so we really aren't trying to play with the discard pile too much, but it does look like it's going to be a scoop here as we take it 2-1 for creatures. Andrew Blank going to take it 2-1 with spiders. McGonagall spiders. It's going to be pretty neat. Alright guys, and that is the end of round 1. So let's go ahead and get our little switching tables graphic up on the screen as we pair round 2. We'll be right back.